Hi, welcome back. My name is Sarah Daniels, and today I'm going to be telling you the story of postbellum America. In this video, we're going to be looking at slavery, sharecropping, and we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into one of those sharecroppers. Let's get started. Now, in order to gain a better understanding of postbellum American economy, we need to take a look at antebellum American economy. And we're going to be specifically looking at slavery. If you look at the pie chart on the screen, you'll see that 76.1% of Southerners were actually non-slaveholders. This means that the remaining 23.9% of Southerners were slaveholders. Out of that 23.9%, 17.2% were slaveholders with only 1 to 9 slaves per slaveholder. 6.6 of the 23.9% owned 10 to 9 slaves per slaveholder. And out of all the Southerners living in the South around the beginning of the Civil War, 0.1% were slaveholders with 100 or more slaves working their land. Now, when looking at the chart, you may wonder why slavery could be so profitable for the South if only 23.9% of all Southerners were slaveholders. The answer to that is in the size of production and the size of the yearly yield per crop. Now, there are surviving archival records from 140 Southern plantations that tell us that between 1801 and 1862, the amount of cotton picked by the average American slave in a single day quadrupled. This means that from 1801 to 1862, the cotton industry that was so highly dependent on slave labor saw a 2.3% increase per year in picking efficiency, which helped to advance the labor productivity in the overall Southern economy, which had an impact on the overall U.S. economy. To give you an idea of how much cotton was actually being produced by the American South prior to 1865, of the 800 million pounds of cotton used by Great Britain, 184 million pounds was being produced by plantations in the American South. After the Civil War and the end of slavery in America, Southern farmers had to find a new way to farm all of the land that they owned. And so they made the transition from slavery to sharecropping. Like slavery, sharecropping existed long before it began in the United States. Sharecropping can also be called tenant farming. The idea of a farmer working land that they do not own and paying the owner of the land a percentage of the profits from the yield of the crops is a concept that goes back hundreds of years. In England, you will find examples of sharecropping or tenant farming throughout its history. In 1880, around 38% of all farmers in Texas were tenant farmers. Of that 38%, more than 80% were sharecroppers. However, due to poor record keeping, it is difficult to gauge just how accurate those numbers are. The people who made a living from sharecropping are more than just statistics and percentages. They're real people who had lives, families, and while they did not make millions of dollars, they did have an impact on Texas' economy. Now, we're going to turn our attention to a sharecropper from Texas whose name was William Henry Owens. He was born February 18th, 1865 in San Jacinto, Texas. He was born to James and Lavinia Owens, and they were sharecroppers. Now, William would follow his parents' footsteps and become a sharecropper himself. And the only place that you're going to see or hear William's name is in his family Bible, on his birth, marriage, and death certificates, and of course, when his family talk about him. However, just like other sharecroppers, William and the work he did as a sharecropper contributed to the Texas economy. While he may not have made millions like Rockefeller or Carnegie and others who lived in postbellum America, his contribution is no less significant than theirs. To look at the life of William H. Owens, it may not seem very significant. He was born, lived, and died a sharecropper. However, his success lies not just in how he was able to contribute to his state and his state's economy, but in his family and the children and the lives they would go on to live. William and his wife Fannie Mae had 8 sons. All of his sons would go on to live lives and have careers outside of sharecropping. It is because of the career that he chose that his sons were able to step out of the life of being a sharecropper and go on to be loggers and welders. One of his sons would even go on to start his own logging company. His grandchildren would go on to start their own businesses. And I, his great granddaughter, would go on to hold 2 history degrees. I'm working on a third. And because of him, I get to pursue and make an impact on my state's economy, my country's economy, and on history. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to know more about sharecropping, please check out the resources below. Thank you and have a blessed day.